Hello everyone, this is Mercy on your way once again. We are continuing with our HTML and CSS. In today's video, we'll be looking at a few elements in HTML. I want to do a quick recap on what we did the last time. We talked about the heading, and then we learned from heading 1 to heading 6. And we came to realize that from heading 1, you can use once in a page. Other headings can be used. And then we also talk about a paragraph displaying of our content in a paragraph nicely for our users to be able to read whatever ideas or information we want to able to give to them. So these are a few structure we have displayed with our previous lesson. Now in today's lesson, we'll talk on void elements. So with the void elements, let's see. When we say void element, what is void element? Void elements tag are element tags that don't have content and that has no closing tag. If you check here, these ones is an open tag and has a closing and there's a content here. But void element only have the open tag with that content and the closing tag. So we'll look at a few void elements and how they are being applied. Now, when you check this focal points here, if you can see, we have a profile about a student, and then we have about me, which is heading, and then has a content in there, and then this one is also a heading. So if you check, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 headings in here. So you can use any of the heading to display. Maybe you can start from heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to display these contents in here. These headings here. Now, if you check here, we have a content here. So this content can be in a paragraph nicely, but if you check this paragraph, if you check in here, the first sentence, hello, my name is John Mensah, I am level 100, it goes to the next line in here. So this one we are going to introduce in a break so that the sentence will break to the next line, but in the same paragraph. So a break is an example of a void element with no content. So let's go back to our editor, and then where we have my name is John Mensah with a focal point. When you get to the level 100, we put in a break in there. So in a break, we open our BR tag in here. So we open our BR tag, and then we'll press enter so that we can see the break in there. So the enter just to give clarity of our code in here. So the break end here. So in this case, this statement will start, hello, I'm John Mensah, I am level 100 students in there. So that's where the statement will end over there, and then the next one will break. So wherever you want the statement to break, you put in a break. So a break basically is just to break your sentence into a new line. So that's what a break is, and it's a void element. In when you compare to the paragraph gives the spacing into your text. It gives a whole line of spacing into. So, example, when you take your exercise book, there are lines in over there. So when you write the first line, go to the next line is a break. Or when you leave a whole line, you write the first line, you leave a whole line, you go to the next line. That one is a paragraph. So whatever that you want to put in a break in there, then you introduce in your break, which is a void element that doesn't have any closing and a content in there. So that's basically what a break is about. So we can introduce as many as break inside our code where we want our statement to break in over there. Then we do that. So I'm introducing more breaks just to break our content to look nicely, and then we'll see the outcome of these ones. So that's what a break is. So a break is a void element in over there. So when we introduce a break and we have a look at how our display is, and then we check how our content is look like now. So if you check this, our content in a previous without a break. So if I refresh it, it breaks nicely with the help of the break inside. So the break your statement into a new line, right? So another void element that I want to talk about is the, if you check this ones, we have some horizontal lines in underneath of each of the headings. So we will introduce another void element in the, that's the HR. It's bring the horizontal line. So we bring our HRE here where we want the horizontal line being displayed. So where we want to put, so I'll copy this one and put it various places that I want it to display in there. So not able to type it frequently. So when you check about me, there's the line in at the about me. And then when you check educational background, there's also one there. So we put it also one over here, and then so it's underneath over there, and then computer science skills. So one also be here in here. That's underline. Then one will also be under my hobby, and then the last one will be under contact me. So when you check in and you zoom in, you will see where these horizontal lines. So hobby, and uh, then the last one is contact me. So where we have put in the HR, those places will have the horizontal line in there. So all these ones are examples of void elements in there. So that's a demonstration for it. So when I refresh my page, you see in the horizontal line being displayed under each of the headings nicely over there. So that's how void elements have been used. They don't have a closing and without a content in over there. Now, I want to also look at a few things over there. Now, when we go back to our code, I want us to talk about um, one thing about indentation. Now, when you go in our code, indentation is important when it comes to in writing a code or writing your Mac languages. Why? It's make it more readable and it helps you as a developer to be able to read your code. So in this one, if I want to indent this one, for instance, I can put my tab here and then put in a backspace. So for instance, if I put in here and I put in backspace, it start doing the indentation for me nicely where I want the indentation to go. So for instance, if I want to do indentation, I want all the, if I want to do indentation with these paragraphs, I can just put it here and then put in my tab and it does the indentation for me, so it's going as it is in here. All right, so that's what the indentation basically is about in here. Now if I want this one to go here, I just put my tab and I do this tab, I tab where I want it to end, and then it's end over there for me nicely. Indentation, so indentation basically where you want your code to be, your codes to form in a nice indented form so I can able to read them later on. So that's what you put it there, cursor there, and then you tap and it's cool. You can also indent all the where you want to indent also. For instance, if I want to indent all these one, I can highlight it in over here, and then I just use a backspace and then it start doing the indentation for me. So if you have a group of elements that you want to indent, you just highlight them and then use a backspace. If you also want to bring it back in here, you want to take the indentation back, then use shift and then tap and it go back as you can see. So basically that's how indentation works. So you do shift back and then the shift tab, then it go in line in there. So the shift tab that's able to go in and take it backwards for you. You can also do the tab and it go backwards nicely for you. So that's all basically the indentation is about. Now, another element that I want to also talk about is the nested element. So when we say nested element, is whereby elements containing another element within. That's what we call nested element. An element containing another element in there. So we know that this one, for instance, the head is the opening of the head and the closing of the. When you check in there, these are other elements within in there. So if you check the title element opening with the content and then it's being closed over here, is within this head element tag. So the title in find within this element, we call it a nested element. So an element containing another element. So if you take the body, it contains other element that like the H, the H1 and the paragraph in there. So the body tag also contain other elements. So we call them nested elements. It contain other elements in there. So basically that's what nested elements is about. All right. So if you have any comments or any issue, you put it on my comment line and I'll address them. So thank you for today's class and bye bye.